Hello and welcome to Why We Like. On this episode we're going to be talking about why we like cartoons. We're also going to be drinking 3 Flloyds Robert the Bruce. This is a Scottish-style red ale.
We'll be back after these messages. Now, where's my backpack?
Friends, does anyone ever say to you...
Like, what are you? Some kind of gnarly geek dweeb?
Then you need a jolt of our juice.
It's home.
BeetleJuice, that is.
Well, this is outrageous. It's a wild idea.
Don't miss the all-new BeetleJuice, Monday through Friday afternoon on Fox.
Party on, dudes.
Excellent.
Have a most bodacious time with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, premiering next on Fox.
And now, back to our program. Do I have a flat tire?
Well, since I grew up in the 80s and you grew up in the 90s, I'm sure we have kind of some differences in what we watched. Like, you know, I grew up watching, you know, Looney Tunes, He-Man, Smurfs, stuff like that. But I'm sure that, you know, there is some crossover as far as what you watched as well. I just probably didn't see it until I was a teenager.
Yeah, definitely. I watched, you know, some of that stuff too. That was always, like, to me, those were, like, old cartoons.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I definitely watched some of that.
What are your, like, some of your, like, earliest cartoon memories? Like, the things you remember watching, like, as a kid?
Man, that... it's tough because, honestly, like, when I was younger, I was more into, like, live action, like, things like Power Rangers and stuff. And, we didn't have cable for a long time.
We didn't either.
And so my experience with cartoons then was kind of like the Fox Kids stuff, and like Space Goofs. I remember like that.
I never saw much of that, but I saw a few episodes.
Yeah, that. God, some other shows, but you know, Eek.
I was getting ready to ask, was Eek the Cat during that time?
Yeah.
That was a show that I liked. The first couple times I watched it, I didn't get. Like, I don't know if I wasn't old enough or just I thought it looked dumb or what, but, you know, at some point I, like, fell in love with that show.
Yeah. Yeah, what about you? What kind of cartoons did you, like, actually grow up with?
Well, my dad was a big fan of, like, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a lot of, you know, Yogi Bear and, you know, stuff like, things like the Flintstones, the Jetsons, and, you know, other things like the Smurfs, Wacky Races, but then also things like he loved Speed Racer.
Oh.
So I watched a lot of Speed Racer as a kid, but then... I think the thing that I like most attached to growing up, and I still love, was Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
Just, you know, it was something I grew up with that I still watch. Like, when I'm sick, like, actually sick, I just want to lay around and watch Scooby-Doo because it kind of makes me think of, like, staying home from school.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I would watch. And my mom would, like, while we were at school, my mom would tape episodes of the show for me and for my brother, so that when we got home we could still watch them. And I still have like VHS full of those, you know, with commercials and stuff. So
yeah.
Now, you know, kind of moving from there, what were some of the ones that you really like clung to, like that like really made an impression on you?
I mean, I kind of have to throw Scooby-Doo in there.
Yeah.
Like, I still, you know, really like that.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's kind of a crappy answer, I guess, but honestly, just a lot of the, like, staples of, like, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, and, like, these, like, characters that we now really associate with that. Where, Cartoon Network, you've got, like, Dexter and Johnny Bravo and things like that. And then with Nick, you've got, like, Rugrats and other things.
All the rest.
Yeah, and the rest. Yeah, I mean, I've loved all of those shows, and I still do.
Yeah. I watched a lot of those. You know, I was watching, you know, Rugrats, like, as a teenager. I remember going on a date with my girlfriend in high school and going to see the Rugrats movie, even.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I still have the soundtrack to that movie. Now, something I know you like, that we don't agree on, is you really like Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
It was a show that I never got into. I guess a lot of it was the fact that they didn't speak. I didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and to put it into some perspective, it's not like I, like, love Tom and Jerry, but I would put it up there with, you know, Flintstones or Looney Tunes or anything else as, like, classic cartoons.
Oh, I definitely would too. I just didn't. I'm sure I watched it.
Oh.
You know, when I was young, but like actually, like growing up, I'd rather just not watch it.
Yeah, I understand that, because it's not something I would necessarily throw on now. I mean, I might watch it for 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It had a really cool Game Boy game, though.
So you keep saying. I tried playing it once, and it was fine at best.
Yeah.
I think it's a nostalgia thing, probably.
Yeah.
Now, what are some other shows that, you know, kind of really got you hooked during that time?
Well, yeah, kind of like I'd mentioned, like, I loved Dexter's Lab. I've seen every episode of that, and I could probably watch them all again. I just think it was a great show. Same with, you know, like Powerpuff Girls, even. I like Powerpuff Girls.
Never got too into that one. I liked Mojo Jojo.
Yeah, all the villains in it are really good.
Yeah, I think that's what I liked about it when I did watch it.
There's like an episode I remember where there are these like criminals in Powerpuff Girl costumes where they're like grown men and they have facial hair.
Yeah, I
and
do
they kind of have
remember
like giant heads on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then like I remember watching like Rocket Power on.
Oh, my brother and I watched that when we were teenagers.
Yeah. Once again, I for some reason can't think of too many others on Nick. But then also stuff like The Simpsons, even.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually, I'm old enough, I guess, to have watched the Tracy Ullman Show, where The Simpsons was a short on there. So I watched The Simpsons, like, when it premiered. I think I had to, like, kind of hide it from my parents, because they knew it was an adult thing. But, you know, it's the same with, like, Beavis and Butthead. Like, we technically weren't allowed to watch that, and that was because my brother at dinner one time told a joke from that show, and my mom was not happy about it. So she basically said, "You are not watching that in this house."
See, my parents never minded Beavis and Butthead and like Ren and Stimpy and things. Actually, one of my earliest like Christmas memories, kind of nostalgic, is watching Beavis and Butthead and having that stereotypical conversation that all kids went through where I was too close to the TV.
Yeah,
and my parents saying, "Oh, get away from the TV." Like putting those window clings you used to be able to get. I had like Power Rangers window clings or something. But yeah, I remember watching Beavis and Butthead with my parents.
See, I wish. You know, later on, my parents did watch South Park. And, like, loved it for the first, like, 3 or 4 seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched that with them. But, you know, I was my late teens or so when they kind of started watching that.
Yeah.
But now, what about, like, as you started to get a little bit older, you know, our tastes kind of change.
Yeah.
What are some shows then? Was it still kind of the same thing, or?
I was definitely, like, sort of still watching the same stuff, you know, adding new things, but really, for as long as I lived at home, like, if those kind of shows were on, I would just watch them. I didn't care. There were shows that came out that, you know, like Samurai Jack or Time Squad, that were a little...
Which one was Time Squad?
There's like the nerdy kid and the robot, and then the superhero guy.
Okay, yes.
And they go through time.
I only saw a few episodes of that.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Yeah, I really liked that a lot. Yeah, those, I guess, were a little more mature. Not really by, like, adult standards, but, like, more mature than Tom and Jerry or something.
Yeah.
Like, the actual had kind of storylines.
Yeah, oh, yeah. my brother was a big fan of Reboot, and that as that show, you know, kind of developed, it became, you know, more of a narrative show where you had to watch, you know, every episode to get the storyline.
I never got too into Reboot.
I always liked it. I didn't have the love for it that he still does.
I think it was just, it came at a bad time where at that point I was entranced with like Dragon Ball Z and those, you know, because those kind of came out around the same time in the U.S. I guess, but so that like, you know, oh, Dragon Ball Z's coming on, so I might watch Reboot because once it's over, a show I actually like will come on, but I just never really cared too much for it.
Yeah. You know, in the 90s, I guess it, you know, some of this stuff was like started in the 80s and then, you know, bled over into the 90s, but, you know, stuff like, you know, the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
I loved the Ninja Turtles, still love the Ninja Turtles, and as a VHS collector, you know, I have a lot of cartoons on tape, and I have like I said about my mom, like taping, you know, Scooby-Doo episodes. My mom would tape Ninja Turtle episodes for us, or you know, go to the video store and rent tapes like this and copy them for us. So I have a tape that has like several of those.
Oh, yeah.
Like 3, because those only had a couple episodes on it. So she would just take that one tape and hook 2 VCRs up, and that way she didn't have to pay to rent them again. You know, I watched stuff like that. You know, one of my favorite shows as a kid, and this was the 80s, was Muppet Babies. I absolutely loved Muppet Babies because they were so good at, you know, spoofing, parroting other shows or movies, you know, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. I remember an episode where like Arnold Schwarzenegger was on there. You know, it never showed his face, but like it you know, you heard him talking and they mentioned him by name. But I love that show. You know, it's one of those ones that, like, if I had kind of a like dream list of things that haven't come onto like DVD or Blu-ray, I would love to see that show get a release. But you know, because of all the licensing things in there, because of having, you know, the sort of like Star Wars, like they actually showed like live action clips for movies and stuff like that. So getting the rights to all that, I guess, is extremely difficult because they never thought about that for, you know, future home video release. I also really liked, you know, again, this is more in the 90s, Tiny Toons. I love Tiny Toons because it was similar, where, you know, they would spoof and parody, you know, other related things.
I loved Tiny Toons. Really, kind of looking back, probably more than Looney Tunes.
Oh, absolutely. I love Looney Tunes, but I think part of it too was it seemed like, you know, there would be like an hour and a half block on Saturday mornings, like towards the end of cartoons on Saturday mornings, and it just seemed like they repeated a lot of the same cartoons over and over again. So you got kind of burnt out seeing the same 10 Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, that was so weird how, like, you know, there's so many Looney Tunes cartoons, but man, they like to show the same couple.
It just got old after a while, so when, you know, Tiny Toons came along and it was a actual show instead of shorts, you know, I just fell in love with that. You know, same with Animaniacs. When Animaniacs came out, I absolutely loved that. You know, it was more mid-90s. But I loved that sense of humor. There was kind of the adult jokes in there, like Hello Nurse and that sort of thing. I actually, at one point, I was looking through, like, you know, at that time, looking through one of my yearbooks from school, and, like, code for myself on the hot girls pictures, I wrote HN for Hello Nurse. I was that dork. I was cool, let me tell you.
Captain Cool.
Captain Crunch, please. That's I'm professional here.
Rear Admiral Crunch.
Oh boy, you wish. Another show that I love that is ridiculous. I know it. I knew it then. Was the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I loved even the live action parts.
Yeah. Paisanos. Looks like Mario's been eating a little too many
It's the
paisanos.
Mario Brothers. And Plummon's our name.
Yeah. Maiden and priests are the gods we praise.
That's right. They are. I praise them every day. Thank you, maiden and priest. Blessed be thou, holy Satan, Lord and Saviors.
Yes.
Did you have like any of these type of VHS releases, or?
Honestly,
I was pretty sure that you said that you didn't have like a ton of VHS, really.
yeah, like a lot of the VHS I ever owned were live action stuff. The only VHS cartoons that I could really remember having were like those shitty, cheap, like Christmas and related like dollar VHS. That it was always like not even a parody, although it could have been considered a parody of like, it was Pinocchio, but it was like a shitty version of Pinocchio.
Basically, like, you know how like every horror collection has like Night of the Living Dead on there.
Oh yeah,
that sort of thing, where it was whatever was in the public domain. I remember that sort of thing.
I had a few of those. Yeah, they were kind of like, well, I've seen that. Back to watching Power Rangers Turbo.
See, that was a show that I never got into growing up. I felt like I was too old for Power Rangers. I was a teenager when it came out. Yeah. So I was already watching more adult stuff. I was still watching fucking cartoons, but I was watching,
now hentai.
We'll do a whole episode about that. The Power Rangers hentais.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know?
I'm doing a triple take on that one.
Oh, you're gonna do a triple take on me later. Spoiler alert! Yeah, I actually got into Power Rangers probably about a year ago. Started watching it with my wife, and like, I enjoy it now for what it is.
Yeah.
I guess at the time I thought it was supposed to be serious.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I guess.
I don't know.
If you're that age, it still is. It's just, like, as an adult now, I can watch it and I enjoy it because it's like, I don't know. I guess it's a similar thing to like B movies. Like, it's kind of cheesy, but that's the appeal. Is like, it's these guys in little color-coded costumes and they're fighting these monsters, and the monsters like outfits and stuff, they're also all really cool. I like the costumes a whole lot. And, and then like for me, I'm getting a little off topic here, but for me, like liking Godzilla and kaiju and things, so I like when they go up and big thing and fight.
I think that's why I didn't care for it, was because there was always some camp to some of the like Godzilla and kaiju movies, but like they're most of the time meant to be taken kind of seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted in a show. Like, I wanted the show to be serious.
Yeah.
And boy, it was not. It was a little bit of Saved by the Bell, which that was a show that like I never got into. Like, I know that's not a cartoon, but I'm kind of thinking of Saturday morning and stuff like that. I never got into. I watched Saved by the Bell, but I didn't.
You weren't a part of the fan club?
I was not.
Why not?
Dustin Diamond told me no.
Yeah.
He said I couldn't be.
He's done some other movies since then.
He did.
Have you seen?
I have. He knows I have. We talked about it just recently. I used to have the Dustin Diamond porno on DVD. A friend of ours gave it to me, and I eventually passed it on. It's a tradition that keeps going.
Yeah.
Now, some other shows that I liked, like in the 90s, I actually have some of them right here. They were shorter shows that didn't last that long, that I just thought were fun and, spun off kind of action figures, but Dino Riders I really enjoyed. I don't know if you ever saw this one or not.
I literally know it in name only. Okay. Never actually seen it.
Then I loved Skeleton Warriors, which also spun a line of action figures, and there was a video game as well. I actually have, over that way, a Skeleton Warrior figure in the box.
If you can, look over here.
Please. Take a moment.
Yeah. Go ahead and use this.
We'll wait.
This is a VR thing.
Immersive.
Go ahead and look over here, and then turn back to us. I'll give you a minute.
Okay, that's long enough.
Yeah.
Don't keep looking.
If you hadn't seen it now, you've missed your shot.
Yes, don't stare, okay? They don't appreciate that. Yeah. Then the other one is Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. I really enjoyed this show.
That's the same thing. I know of it, and I vaguely...
It was a comic book as well, and I was familiar with the comic book, so knowing that it was coming out, I was really pumped. It kind of around the same time as like The Tick.
Oh. Yeah.
And then there was a Savage Dragon cartoon, and
I guess I didn't know that.
The Savage Dragon was a cartoon?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the character, but I had no idea there was a cartoon.
Yeah, it was really great. It was a little more serious. But fun. It wasn't, goofy like The Tick was,
Yeah.
But
very different characters.
Yeah, I'll have to show it to you sometime. It's pretty great. I don't know if it ever got a release on DVD or not, but something to look into.
Thinking about Skeleton Warriors, which is a show that I liked fine. I liked the toys more than I liked the show.
Yeah.
But that reminds me of another cartoon that I really loved. Another one of these short-run cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
But I loved it as a kid, and I still like it. It was Mummies Alive.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that came at, like, the peak time for me, where, like, I was really into Egyptian kind of stuff as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, man, this is awesome, like, mummies and pyramids and things, but they're also, like, superheroes. I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I would love if they brought that back or did something with it.
Yeah. It'd be a fun, for Sci-Fi Channel to pick up and do, like, a live-action show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it could be a little cheesy. That would be fine.
I always thought things like that, and I guess it's because Turtles did it, but shows like that and Gargoyles, another show I really liked, I wish they would have done, like, Turtles in Time style games like that, like beat-em-ups.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. And kind of in that same vein, kind of talking about these kind of animal superheroes and stuff. Did you ever watch Biker Mice from Mars?
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still would. It's not something I've seen since the 90s.
Well, once again, keeping with the animal things, did you ever watch SWAT Cats?
Yes, not a whole lot. I actually didn't discover it until like the mid to late 2000s, actually. So I didn't see it when it originally ran.
It was a show that, this is going to sound terrible, but like, I didn't like a ton. I liked it fine. I had a friend at the time that really loved it. Mm-hmm. The show that I liked, and it's almost embarrassing to say now.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
No, that's a good show too.
It is fun.
Not many people know about this show.
Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
No. And looking back at it, it was not a good show. Road Rovers.
That sounds familiar, but...
It was essentially a dog counterpart to SWAT Cats.
Oh, okay.
It was a team of, like, anthropomorphic dogs. But it was just real, like, looking at it now, it's real cringy. It's real, like, oh, they're barking at the mailman. Kind of like...
Is that how you got into being a furry?
Yeah, well, that...
Do you think that, like, maybe that did inspire?
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Because so many of those shows in the 90s were those anthropomorphic animals. Like,
yeah.
it's people wanting to kind of play out that.
Yeah. It's like...
That's very possible. I'd never thought about that.
Live action hentai for those type of people.
Sure. We're not against furries.
Yeah.
We don't have a problem with that at all. Just
maybe a little.
No, we don't.
I mean, if you want to, have fun.
Be safe. Something you mentioned was, Cartoon Network. We kind of mentioned it as well that, like, I went years and years without cable. We didn't get cable. We had cable when I was very young. And we had, like, at the time there was, like, 4 channels.
Oh.
Nickelodeon was one of them at the time. But it was back when they didn't really have very many cartoons. But, we got it when I was a teenager. So there was a lot of, like, the Cartoon Network stuff that I missed.
Oh.
Like, when it originally came out. I was probably driving, like, 96, 97 before we got cable.
Here's a fun fact. Interesting thing. The first show... We had satellite at one point.
Okay.
And the first show I ever saw on satellite was Sailor Moon.
Really?
And I guess, actually, that was the first Cartoon Network show I ever saw. Basically, they came and installed satellite while I was at school, and Sailor Moon was coming on when I got home from school, and I was excited, like, oh, we got satellite. Came home, flipped the TV on, Cartoon Network, there it was. And I felt pretty about it ever since.
That was a show that I didn't get into. My brother, again, that was something he loved. Like, he had, like, his own, like, fan site. And, like, made music videos for Sailor Moon. And, like, got, like, online awards kind of thing. And, like, I'm pretty sure it was the voice actor who voiced Tuxedo Mask. Like, even, like messaged him and, like, thanked him for running such a great site and that sort of thing. My brother had, like, all the original episodes, all the American episodes. The Canadian episodes were even different, so we had those. He had the soundtracks, all the movies.
Spanish episodes, the French episodes.
Probably. I mean, like...
The German episodes.
This was back when, way before YouTube, so, like, a lot of videos were real player.
Yeah.
So, like, if you were watching it on, like, a computer screen, your video was probably this big.
Yeah. Or you could make it bigger and it would just
look awful.
Yeah.
But, like, he had, like, whole episodes, like, uploaded onto his site. I don't know how. My brother's a little bit smarter than me, especially when it comes to computers. That's what he does for a living, is he works in IT. So he's always been ahead of the curve on me and that sort of stuff. So I don't know how he managed to do all that. Now, some other shows that, like, I really dug as a kid that, like, I still love, and I know one of them you're not as big of a fan of, is the Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I loved that show.
No. I like the characters. They're very iconic characters. Yeah. And if you put the show on in front of me, I could watch it. But no, I've never in my life said, I want to watch Winnie the Pooh now.
I do. I want to watch it right now. And then I like, Inspector Gadget. I loved. There was a really cool, like, Inspector Gadget, like, figure. The helicopter would come out of top. His arms would stretch and that sort of thing. I've always wanted that. That's, like, one of my, like, most wanted toys. A friend of mine that was actually older. He was, like, 3 or 4 years older than me. He had it, and I was so fucking jealous. I wanted that thing.
That show never left an impression on me.
Really?
Same thing. Like, I respect the character. It's an iconic character.
Just because something's iconic doesn't mean you have to like it.
But I watched it. I mean, maybe not a ton, but I had probably seen like 20-something episodes in my life. But it was always just fine. But it was weirdly, like, I was drawn to shows like Camp Candy. I liked a lot.
I like Camp Candy a lot. I actually have the first issue of the Camp Candy comic book.
So, Oh, another show that I liked and I kind of forgot about until I just saw a reference to it a couple days ago was The Wild Thornberrys.
Oh, yeah. It was fine.
I thought, like, looking back now, I feel like it was surprisingly good. Like, I think it was a very high quality.
It was made by the same people that made like Rugrats and Aw Real Monsters.
Yeah,
and
Aw
stuff.
Real Monsters is great.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that was a great show.
Yeah.
That's one of those that like I wouldn't mind like seeing like more episodes of.
Oh yeah.
Now, kind of like that. Like, what are some shows that you would like to see? Not rebooted, but like a movie, or just see them like make new episodes of.
Well, if they'll ever come out with that Rocco.
Yeah, they did
movie.
finally just within like the last week and a half announce that Netflix has picked up the rights for the movie that was finished like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
I guess, at this point.
So that'll be cool. Man, I mean, honestly, like, any of these old classics, I would get excited about a movie.
Yeah.
As far as more episodes, I don't know, because I know you said you didn't get too into it, but, like, the Powerpuff Girls. Well, they did come out with new episodes of that, and they just weren't, it wasn't the same.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because, again, I'm not a big fan, so...
I checked out the first episode or two of the new ones. I was like, oh, this is terrible. This isn't the same at all. Might as well just be a different show. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be interesting to see, like, new Ren and Stimpy or something.
Yeah, they did those, was it Adult Cartoon Party? It was on Spike.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They did those, where it was actually, like, geared towards adults.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in the show, they basically let you know that Ren and Stimpy were, like, bisexual. Like, they were living together.
Controversial,
Yeah.
to say the least. That throws my fan fictions out of the water.
Oh, man, involving women?
Well,
Because you had them as gay?
well, I had them as very straight. They're far-right white nationalists. and
Seems about right.
and yeah, as soon as that bisexual thing came out, I just tore them up. I said, "This, forget it now. It's
These
ruined."
are not the characters I knew.
Yeah, yeah. You guys have really changed. Okay, I don't know what are you, this time you've spent in Portland. That's also part of my fantasy is that they've moved to Portland, and they sometimes have adventures with the Portlandia cast.
Cool.
It's their world. You're just living in it.
Knew it, huh? I think a show that, you know, like, there's been movies. Sorry, hard to get past this.
Portland.
That I'd like to actually see more episodes of is the Batman the Animated Series. It's just one of those shows that, like, man, I could just...
I'm on the flip side of that for a specific reason.
Okay.
I felt like that show, you know, it's incredible. It's one of the best animated cartoons ever made. We'll say ever made in America. I mean,
Yeah.
God, there are some animes that are iconic, but one of the best cartoons ever made in America. The problem is, it was great the whole time. So I feel like
Yeah, that is...
don't risk it.
Yeah, that is the problem, is if you're going to do it, you need, like, the original writers,
Yeah.
the original directors, you need the whole shebang to get it right.
Any new person involved in that has the potential to just totally ruin it.
Yeah, you need at least the same people in charge.
Yeah.
Overseeing something like that. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to get something that's maybe not as good.
Yeah. And that would be, I would rather it be limited and great than add more, but now the new stuff is kind of
Yeah, I understand. Now, we've kind of glossed over a lot of things. I'm sure there will be many more episodes on cartoons and on individual series. But, you know, make sure you check out our podcast that will be going up either the same day that this will or the next day where we will actually be continuing our conversation on cartoons, because there is a lot of things that, you know, we'd like to talk about still that we just didn't cover here. You know, we want to keep these at about half an hour. There are people that do longer YouTube videos, but we feel like that's a pretty good, you know, base for right now. Maybe we'll extend that at some point for, you know, special episodes or something like that. But, you know, again, either today when this goes up or tomorrow following, check out the podcast. By then, we also should have the podcast on iTunes as well. I'm working on that right now, so you'll be able to listen to it, you know, on your favorite podcast app instead of just listening to it on YouTube.
Yeah, while you're out skateboarding and rollerblading around town.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you ever skateboard or rollerblade or thinking of kind of cartoons and being a kid?
I mean, I did attempt skateboarding. I owned a skateboard and sometimes tried it. We had like it was a small skateboard, like this big and like that wide. Like it was this like pure like plastic rubber, all blue, high quality stuff.
Yeah, that someone like another neighborhood kid left at our house, and like
that's the best way to get stuff.
We had a rock driveway, and the only place we had to skateboard was our sidewalk that was maybe 7 feet long.
Oh yeah.
So I got real good.
Right.
I also had rollerblades, but that was more as a teenager, and by then we had moved and like lived in a neighborhood that was like a big circle. The problem was that there was like a real big slope, like hill, so like I was always afraid to go down that, because I was never good at stopping. I was pretty good at like actually like rollerblading and roller skating, but stopping I still have never gotten the hang of. So
yeah, I rollerbladed a little bit. I was definitely more of a bike kid.
Yeah, me too. Sorry, we're going off subject here.
Yeah, cartoon.
Yeah.
Cartoon.
Oh.
That was a good show too.
It was really great. Yeah.
What a cartoon.
Yeah. Just kind of their way to play with things and introduce.
Yeah.
Like,
Kablam was really good.
Kablam was really great.
Well, we could just sit here and listen.
Yeah, we should really wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, guys. We'll see you later.
Hey, Fox Kids Club members, look what we've got for you. It's the hot new issue of Totally Kids, with a special pull-off section of valuable coupons from Kraft General Foods for you to give to Mom and Dad. Then you can keep the magazine just for you. Watch your mailbox, because Totally Kids is on the way.